Hi, my name is Rocco, and this is your January 2017 monthly spiritual reading. We will be using today the answer is simple Oracle card deck by Sonia Shukat. And we'll see what messages come through in these cards. First of all, it is a month that prepares you to seeing the light coming through more bright in February and March. I'm going to draw as many cards as I'm guided to, because there isn't in truth a definite amount of cards that you have to draw in order to get a message. Some people don't need to draw a card to get a message because they just know. Other people deserve to draw more cards because, well, they're not insecure, but definitely like more detail. So, but the general rule, as laid out, that by Doreen Virtue, that it's 1, 3, or 5 card readings is usually correct, although it's best to connect with the divine wisdom more directly, which really does not have numbers because it's in everything. So I drew 3 main cards today, and other 2 cards were drawn as clarification purposes. So the first card for January of this month is called To Accept Love. When we accept love, we realize we don't want love, but we want appreciation sometimes. But if we only wanted to have say a steak, obviously if we buy a horse, then I'm sorry if any vegetarians watching, but if we buy a horse, then obviously if we know how to, we can derive different steaks from that horse, or much love if you want to keep it vegetarian, but still and the horse will appreciate you as well, but it depends what you want to do with something. And this month is also good to eat friendly products, friendly with animals, so more vegetarian, to wear things that are made of non-human, non-animal fabrics. And another card for January is called Have Fun. This deck is very marvelous, I think, to have fun. it means basically that this month is connected to your being that is innocent. So you want to have fun and behave like a child. Third card is called Just Laugh. This card is called just that because laughing is a method of again unleashing your child within, the inner child. And this is not just any new age term or something that only psychotherapists use because that's how it was born in psychotherapy, which is now a science, but back then it used to be considered babble talk, meaning bullshit. And it wasn't until recently that it got recently meaning it's not more than 50 years that it's been dignified, and not everywhere, because in some countries it's been less than that, and it's been dignified with the status of science that wasn't fully believed to be for a long time, that it was believed to be a bunch of lunatics studying the brain in ways that were inappropriate, and what's more, too merciful towards the person that was mentally ill. So ill. Definitely out of focus from their inner child. So would have been the diagnosis if spirituality was made applicable it sort of is in Islam, but if it was made applicable in the law of man, then the Prophet's dream would come true. So it's a month to realize that spirits love us, angels love us, and therefore granted that we're granted safety, security, health, peace, and good money. And because of that, we can use these resources, mainly love. We're loved. We can use love to have fun, and it'll come automatically for us to, this month in particular, to laugh. So whether you deny it or not, there's times and times in each year, and there's times when you sow, times when you reap, times when you cry, times when you laugh. And it depends what you choose to do with these things that the energy of the universe puts into you, because there's energy in the universe, and science has got into that. There's energy in a human being because there's life in a human being. Science got into that, and if there's life, science even got into the point that there's energy. Now, what do you have to do with that energy is something that is not being fully covered by science, but luckily it was covered by lunatics for what is psychology, and it was covered by prehistoric humans as for what concerns spirituality. So that you modern skeptic people could be at peace, but you're not at peace. That is because you're stupid. But skepticism and stupidity aren't two different things, they're the same. So people who are skeptic towards spirituality truly are spiritually retarded, because they haven't gotten to a place where not only a lot of people got into already because they died, but and one day I assure you that you will die too, but they also originated from it. And what's worse, that you don't realize that the origin of your spirit comes from spirit, and that is for the atheist people who are even stupider, if that makes sense. Rhymes with Jupiter, but that doesn't make it more fun. Two more cards, and I'll leave these two without a comment. talk to God. So advice for the month, clarification. And don't like the drawing too much for this card, but it says Sonia isn't a saint, but she's very smart. You are not afraid. So because you talk to God, then you're not afraid. In the same fashion, if you don't talk to God, you are. So I hear people saying that basically we have 1 more minute for the sermon is over. I have people saying that they don't pray to God, they don't ask God anything because they already have everything they want. I can tell you this, that is a big fat lie, because they don't have simplicity, they don't have gracefulness of heart, and they don't have love for who they are, and therefore they don't deserve anything. And that's already the way that God sees these people who don't think they need to ask him everything or anything at all, because he gives them, he crushes their free will and gives them like a shitload of gifts because they're just plain arrogant and never ask for anything. And because of this arrogant contradiction of universal laws that you never ask for shit, then all this shit, literal shit, is given to you. Like I had an argument with a friend of mine. I won't say her name, but sometimes it takes more than buying people with gifts. Even if they're spiritual, those gifts are not appreciated by you because you don't have any spiritual gifts. You only have falsehood. And falsehood is neighborhood of the devil that wears a hood. And not me, not a physical hood, but a spiritual hood that covers you from the light of God. So we call on Archangel Metatron to go and unblock the friend that I mentioned previously, and the who is Jewish, so I have the utmost respect for her. But I had to block her because I was performing miracle healings on Facebook, and she asked for her miracle. Everyone's miracles were personal, and then say I was asked by a client of mine, Cassandra, months ago, to heal and or pray for her mother to heal from cancer. Her mother's name is Bertha, but and her cancer disappeared, and it was a miracle that was directly from Jesus. Now I don't think the two things relate, that she's Jewish and I said out loud that the miracles were to be performed by Jesus, but she asked something that she knew God wouldn't have made into a miracle because it involved too many people's free will. That wars in the world end in just a moment, and that's very, because you can pray for such a result, but you can't really make it happen at once. Only God can, and God is going to, because well, first of all, because he sees that you don't need it. And so, but he's going to curse you for sure, but he's not going to make it happen today. So he's going to put you through war this lifetime and more, or 3 more at least, just because he said something like that. Because that's divine retribution. That's why so many people turn away from God, because they think that he's an evil God. He truly isn't. He's very fair, like to this woman. And then I said, what, I think you should start from something more personal. And I'm talking about someone who isn't married to her twin flame or soul. I mean, not to the man that she loves, doesn't work the job that she's supposed to work, doesn't live in the country where she's supposed to live in, and doesn't have anything of all things she's supposed to have. So basically, she's deprived of all the joy of her life because she thinks she has it all. Basically, she's retarded. And this new term, retarded, I keep using because it really frees your spirit from people that don't understand what spirit is. And just because they belong to a race similar to what Hitler thought about Jewish and the Aryans, then just because they belong to the Jewish race, then they're some sort of elite figure or some sort of enlightenment. Whereas they're just Jewish, meaning that Jewish were special for is that they had most of it. They had to give Jesus a nice crib where to be born into, but in the end they messed up with him and they didn't accept him. And so much for the Jews. Now you can point out blood that's Jewish, but again, did not Hitler do the same thing to you? Is his blood different than yours? Then no, then why is it yours different than his? For the opposite reason, doesn't make sense. It's very racist. That is why so many Jewish people were killed during the World War II because they didn't accept Jesus, and that God would have never wanted the Holocaust to happen. But he certainly wouldn't have wanted all these Jewish people to renounce on his son Jesus because of their stupidity. And stupidity isn't rewarded with blessings and blissful moments by God. It's rewarded with spiritual death, which is called hell. And spiritual death can only come after physical death. That's why so many Jewish people weren't defended and protected, first of all, by the other Jewish, and secondly, by themselves, and especially not from God. First of all, because God couldn't couldn't have because God couldn't have imagined a world without free will. So if it's like the Jewish, do they have? If you think that you can't ask God anything, is it that you're put into death? Is that all under karma now? I think it is that uh you're putting to death all of these people that like a scapegoat, you're taking all their karma, to use another word, on you, that you don't want to pray for them because God gives you everything. Still referring to that friend of mine and ex-friend. Sorry. Uh, if people are so arrogant, my point is, because the card says talk to God, some people are so arrogant that they don't think that to ask God anything. And that's the same mistake that a lot of Jewish people made when they faced the Holocaust. They renounced God. They thought they didn't have to pray to him because without them saying anything, he would have saved them, spared them. Well, a lot of people keep praying, just like other friend, um, is closer to the concept of a true friend, Cassandra. She kept praying for her mother to heal, and she kept praying for uh, mother's cancer to disappear, and it did. Whereas when this other friend of mine, who was Jewish, and she was, I'm not going to say her name just because I think she has enough weight to carry already. That I'm saying it, what a magician says, it can be a blessing or a curse depending on how it's meant. But I'm not cursing her. But what I'm saying is that people are not only you're putting this burden, this 6 million people death on your responsibility because you think that it's right, not directly, but think that it's you align yourself there because you think that you don't have to ask God for anything because everything is given to you because you look pretty or you were born into a race and that's about it. That's all you got in your mind. Well, besides that, your husband's cheating on you, nobody told you that ever. And what a clairvoyant person pities you and can see through you. So, well, to make a long story short, these people seek the admiration of God because they're fallen. To me, are to be called Luciferian rather than Jewish. So, even if you want to be part of the royal race of Jewish people, because it's a royal race, then what you should do is that you should make a pretty face only to pretty concept. So, nearly, meaning almost, sorry that I can say this person's name, but things really go badly for you. Sorry when if I don't make myself clear sometimes, but if you don't, if you don't, if you don't make amends with God, because if more people pray during a certain situation, I can guarantee that a certain situation does not happen fully. A certain bad situation happens, kind of like during the Holocaust, because Hitler was connected somehow to the devil. That's a reality, but mostly, but almost a 50% responsibility is to be found on the other side that didn't accept the Trinity of God, that didn't pray to God to be saved enough, because they thought that just because they were Jewish, they would be saved, and they were not. So, just before starting to think that you're too cool for school, go back to the raw idea of what a school is. And the first meaning, I say that to my friend too, the first meaning of school is when you reincarnate, and that's the school that we all live in, reincarnation. And for some people, they've gotten to enlightenment, like me, or other people, and a lot of you watching too. And other people aren't connected with that refined energy, and they're just crap. And that's the message of this month. You learn to decipher, crop from gold, and now only want to be with the elite. That isn't the racial Jewish, but the Jewish intended like the true sons of God. The way that Moses was and all the great prophets are, that will always be. Not necessarily all Jewish people are today, although most of them certainly are. So, and by the way, if I offended anyone, my point isn't that the Holocaust was legitimate. My point simply means that the Holocaust obviously was horrendous, but we have to look into everyone's responsibility. Like it happened in text where she points out that example Jewish rabbis used to help the Nazi authorities handle Jewish people, and so as for today, I want to leave you with a note that this month January will be a lot of fun, that you will put behind a lot of stress, that you will laugh a lot, and especially connect well with elves, nymphs, creatures, especially of the land, and of water. So really want to thank you, and I enjoy this movie. And just remember that every time you talk, make make your own talk the talk of fear, but make today the talk of truth, because no one has got responsibilities over a time that's over any. That's today's message, especially because it's January. So do not carry spiritual toxins with you of times where you were not protected. Get rid of clutter, and I had ciao.